Sucks. I mean, they have to start leaning in front of the camera now. No, you're good. Sounds good. I already sent out an invite on the Discord, so. Well, if you show up, be sure to let me know you're here, or else I'll just keep painting in silence. But right now, I'm working on the bases, getting those ready for the models. Because my hope is to finish. It doesn't look like, at least not on the stream, we're going to be able to finish all of the box today. But I am going to get my unit of lower abyssals done. And I want to have a base at least painted so that we can put that on for them. Not the cleanest, but it works. Yeah, there you go. That's basically what it's going to look like. Got some stone, got some dirt, got some texture paint on there. First one. Oh, I missed a spot. Oh gosh. Did I take something out? Gosh. Just little old me holding down the fort. Well, holding down this fort while he's holding down the actual fort. So. One thing I had forgotten was how absolutely soul crushing batch painting can be. Like, it is rough on the morale. So. Yeah, it might be a good question to ask. Which kind of painting process approach do you prefer? If you come on, or if anybody's on. I don't think anybody is, so. But something to keep in mind for later. So what approach do you prefer? Do you prefer to batch paint and just get it all done? Take your lumps and get over with it, or are you like me and you need that dopamine hit every so often of finishing a model to like keep you going? Because the fact that we spent 8 hours yesterday, didn't technically finish a single model. That's a little disheartening. But at the same time, it just goes to show even people that are like veteran painters can have hang ups, or it can be hard for them to even get stuff fully painted and finished. Sometimes, and sometimes it can turn into a slog. Well, I'm like really close to the thing. This maybe back a bit. That better? Okay, excellent. Well, alright. So let me know if... Oof. You're a stronger man than me, Fat Man. Welcome back, by the way. So, last night we put down the texture paint on all the bases. That's kind of what I'm working on today, is getting those ready. Yeah, it was fun. No, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the worst day painting is still better than, you know, a lot of other days that you could have. Kind of like they say about fishing. If you're a fisherman, bad day of painting is better than a good day at work. Certainly less stressful. Yeah, the bases are kind of the zen moment because it means you're getting close to the end of the process. So it's kind of like a look back and reflect. Sometimes. With these ones, well, we're not to that point, but getting them ready beforehand. Go. More like a rock than a pile of dirt. This will be pretty easy. But yeah, nothing makes a mini come alive. I'm halfway off. More than a good base, I feel like. You could have the best paint job in the world, and if it's not based, I feel like it still feels like it's a work in progress. That's me personally. I don't know what other people's feelings are about basing. But, man, basing can take a model from a, you know, a solid 6 or 7 paint job rating up to a 8 or 9 sometimes, just because of how evocative it is and how much of a storytelling aspect it is in the story or in the model. So I enjoy that aspect of it. Last one. This. But yeah, this is also a good example of what Kings of War bases are like. So yesterday you saw that we just basically had these flat like panels of MDF. Now we've put stuff on to give it elevation, make it look more dynamic. And this is kind of a better idea, a better representation of what Kings of War bases look like. So there's that to look at too. I say nay, nay, good sir. Patch painting. It is of the devil. It is a necessary evil sometimes, but... And it also depends on what your final objective is, too, I'd say. Right, batch painting is really effective at, you know, getting a bunch of models done, so it's good for, like, army processes, especially, like, horde armies and stuff like that. But it is more laborious to me than doing them one at a time, even though it can seem like you're never going to get done that way either. So there's pros and cons to both, I guess. I'll grudgingly admit. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, one thing GW does right is it does give you all the bells and whistles with your models. And I mean, for the price you're paying, they should, but even so, they do a good job of following through on that. So they're not quite dry yet, so I'm going to let them sit for a little bit longer. In the meantime, we'll get back to these boys. I think we'll do brass. So I have a good recipe for brass that I use with... See, I do have them both, don't I? Maybe I do. Did I only grab half of it? I certainly did. Sure looks like it, doesn't it? Sounds about right. Well, we're gonna try some stuff here. So this is usually what I base my bronzes with, is Reaper's Dragon Bronze. It's pretty good. Pretty good as far as their metals go. Super fast. So I'm going to do most of their armor and like their accents in bronze now. Good choice with Windrose upstairs there, Scott. That's a band that needs to come back through here again. Came through a couple years ago. They were a blast. One of my favorite concerts I've ever been to. Oh gosh, I'm off. Of course I'm off camera. Because that's how it works. Yeah, the voices are back. I'm muttering to myself again. Sorry about that. Scott pointed out a good point that if we want these two armies that are going to be the main, like, store copies, right, for the demos and whatnot, if we want them to contrast each other, then we need to make sure, like, the armor and that is different, so where his is, like, going to be all silver and gold, mine's going to be bronze and copper, mostly, except for, like, a lot of the weapons will probably have some silver in it as well. But that way they'll complement each other and contrast each other too. Never, Scott. They'll never leave you alone. That way you'll never be lonely. So, Fat Man, you said something about Tamiya kits. I've never heard of those, or maybe I have and I just don't recognize what they are. What are those exactly? And where does one, acquire such things? Hmm. Yeah, I've never heard of them. That's an interesting thing to look at. Historicals. I know I do a lot of Scenic Express stuff with their website. They're like a railroad company, and so they have lots of stuff, like lots of really cool trees and lots of static grass in bulk that you can buy and stuff like that. That's really cool. So whenever I'm like gonna do a decent, like a new army project or something like that, I'll go and check out what's on there and see what I can add to that, and it makes for some really cool basing opportunities. I'll have to look at their Tamaya. I'll have to look into them. So I've decided that after this guy, I'm gonna reward after this unit is done, I'm gonna reward myself by painting the big guy back here. That's my next step, because he looks like he's gonna be fun, and I can just really focus on him and make him the highlight of the army, where these guys are kind of background characters in the army. That's kind of the thing that's getting me through this, is I want just a little bit further and then I can do the fun part. Bless you, Scott. So what's everybody working on today? Or are you just hanging out with us while you're running errands and whatnot? Not sponsored. Well, just gotta reach out to him then. Bases are still drying, so I'm not quite ready to start doing those guys yet. It's alright. We still got plenty of lower abyssals waiting. Nice. Chaos Lords. The universe needs more chaos. Get rid of the corpse god. Corpse emperor. You can tell I'm not a loyalist right now. Just want to watch the universe burn. I second what Scott said. Make sure you share all your stuff. It's always cool to see what everybody's working on the Discord and all that kind of stuff. Right. Anybody got any exciting events coming up, like a tournament or a narrative campaign that they're prepping for their friends or anything along those lines? Anything that you'd think would be you're just excited and want to talk about? Personally, I'm thinking about a summer campaign for King's War. Um, we've been talking with a local group here in Rexburg about doing something like a siege campaign, right, where there's different scenarios each week and people can play them. I'd play the antagonist, so everybody can be fighting against me, or you know, we assemble a team or something like that, and just give people the opportunity to like create narratives for their generals. That's something I think that's super important. Personally, is like the fun thing about one of my fondest memories was actually of Warhammer End Times. We had a really close-knit group of about 4 of us, and we got together and we made up our own campaign within the timeline of the End Times. Because not a lot happened in Bretonnia for that, so that's where we set it. And so I played the bad guy by playing the Warriors of Chaos, and just gave us an excuse. We'd have build weeks, and then we'd have play weeks where we'd play these big epic battles and all that kind of stuff, and the stories we told. I put it all together, and I actually made like a mini novel. Even printed it out. This is how gooberish I was, as I printed it out and stitched it all together and all that kind of stuff. Nice. Batman's kitchen. That's awesome. So it's a learn to play 40k. Nice. So have you been out of the hobby then out of the game scene for a little bit, or are you just going because to like support the community and kind of just brush up on a few of the rules that you might not remember as well? So like you're looking to get back into the hobby or just kind of brushing up? Sorry. I wasn't clear enough in my question. Nice. It's funny what happens when you step out for like a half an edition or so, and how much things change and how much you have to relearn. Sometimes it can be a little bit daunting, like you're relearning the whole system. If you step out for a bit, but it's awesome though that you got a community that's willing to help support bringing in new players like that and all that kind of stuff. It's always fun. And that works as a great opportunity for you to re-hone the skills, get back on the horse and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. I'm terrible at reading the books. Like, I know in high school when I was playing this before the internet was super prevalent and all that kind of stuff, I know that we definitely probably misplayed the game more than a little bit and probably made up more than our fair share of rules on the fly. But there is a certain charm to that too. However, it is nice to be able to just look up like tutorial videos and all that kind of stuff on it too nowadays. So what kind of games or what kind of events excite you more, Batman's Kitchen? Are you more of like a tournament thing, or do campaigns like get you going more? Right? Which one gets you more excited to play the game and roll dice? There's nothing wrong with wanting to do different kits and all that kind of stuff and have a unique looking army. I think that's awesome. Gives your army character. And that makes sense within the lore too, with like the chaos chapters. If I remember right, and I might be misquoting my lore here, but aren't the chaos chapters kind of like frozen in time a little bit because they've been in the warp, and so it's quite possible that they've been stuck there. And for them, it's only felt like a couple of years or maybe even a couple of days. And what's really happening is that they're, coming out of the warp, and it's been, 10,000 years and all that. So from what I understand of the lore, and obviously I'm a little out of touch with it, so it could be different these days. But from what I remember of the lore, that totally fits with the lore as it's established in the game. And the nice thing about narrative events is that you can kind of just make things up to fit whatever your group wants, rather than having to adhere to any hard and fast rules necessarily. So there's a lot of fun ways to adapt to different scenarios and stuff like that. I agree.
Hello there.
Scott has joined the chat.
Yes, I have. Just had a little bit of a delay. Our people that were going to help me watch the store this morning were running a little bit behind. But I'm here now. Now I just have to convince myself that I can paint these minis. Yep, that's it.
Some days it's hard.
Okay, let's see. Where was I with these last night? I needed to dry brush a bit on the leather for the bowman, and then I can call them... Well, I guess one of them's got a face, so I gotta do the face. But other than that, I can probably just about call them table ready, which is as far as they need to get.
Yeah. You don't need to get these to award-winning level.
And after looking at them at the end of the day yesterday and realizing they were not quite as good as I was hoping I'd be able to do, I think I just kind of have accepted that good enough is all that matters.
Yep. Favorite color is done.
No, my favorite color is blue.
Well, it could be blue too. Exactly, Fat Man. As long as the game's fun and it feels like you participated and just didn't get raffle stomped, I'm right there with you. As long as it feels like it's an engaging game and it tells a story, that's the most important thing to me too with games.
You mean it's not all about the numbers and the crunching and the...
And the fact that I'm better at pushing plastic toy soldiers across the field than you are, across the table.
Exactly. That's what it's really about, right?
Interesting. I wonder if I'm like on mute or something.
What's wrong?
I keep saying that my mic is really quiet.
Here, let me take a look. Okay, let me get you clean batteries.
Oh, is that what it is? The battery's almost out.
See how the light on yours is much dimmer than mine?
That makes sense. All
So
right.
yours
well,
is not projecting with as much power.
power and authority.
Yeah. As I yeet my mic across the room.
It's not good. Don't do that. They're kind of expensive from what I gather.
Okay, here, let me see the thing. I'm going to try these batteries. These ones are still older batteries, but
Right.
they're
I'm cutting out.
still probably better off than the other ones because they were not used in an 8-hour stream. So there, try now.
Alright, how's this sound? Am I louder now? More obnoxious?
Well, one of those is true.
Kind of more obnoxious, but still obnoxious. But
Now this stream today is going to be a much shorter one than yesterday.
yes,
The 8 hours was a bit long.
yeah. Had to zone out after we were done for a bit.
I was like falling apart afterwards.
Yeah, it was hard to focus. 8 hours on stream is a long time.
I like got home, sat down on the floor, and just zoned out, staring at a wall.
Yeah.
My wife was like, "Are you dying? What's the matter?"
Like, no, brain just doesn't want to brain. Been braining for too long. Yeah, it is a whole shift at work, essentially. 8 hours.
Difference is you get a lunch break for a
Yeah,
work shift.
exactly. We also didn't eat yesterday. We realized after we were done, we're like, oh, we never took a lunch break. No wonder.
Turns out that's important.
No wonder we're so friggin' tired. Because funny things happens when your blood sugar drops to a certain level.
Okay, this is probably some of the worst dry brushing I've ever done, but admittedly, these boots do not have any
A lot of
ridges for
detail.
the dry brush to catch.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Super off. I've been like off frame like most of the stream, I feel like.
That's another thing I've had to kind of realize with these minis. They're not going to look as good as I'm used to my minis looking. Because even if you put the speed painting aside,
They're smaller.
they're smaller. They're not designed the same way as the minis I usually paint. Like Mantics, at least their older minis, they don't have that design philosophy of the sharp ridges. Lots of stuff for dry brushing to catch.
Yeah, these are not necessarily boutique miniatures. They are very effective for like a mass rank battle game. So yeah, they don't have all the eye-catching detail unless you want to put in the time to like freehand and really get in there with the details. So
Yeah, and they're not the only company that has the minis where they're more function over aesthetic. Yeah. I struggle a little bit with some of my bolt action minis for the same reason. They're just not as engaging to paint as say a Space Marine or
which, there's advantages to both. One, the more developed ones, they can become daunting sometimes, especially if you have to paint a whole army of them. And you end up paying for that extra detail as well, whereas the lesser detailed ones are more cost effective as a per miniature basis.
Yep, and it really just depends on the what you're looking for in your minis. I, being primarily a painter, tend to focus a lot on the details of the minis.
Agreed.
Part of what I think makes a lot of my painting look good is the detail that's sculpted in the minis I paint.
Yeah.
Because really, I don't do anything advanced or technical. I just go through and pick out all the details. And that's usually enough to make the minis look really fancy.
Yeah. Oops. Let the paint starting to separate. Yeah. I will say Mantic, I think, sometimes has some beginner army friendly, so if you're looking to build like a full army project and you're a starting out painter, I feel like these ones lack the level of detail that you don't feel like you're missing a bunch of stuff if you do fast. Like, even though these are speed painted and all that kind of stuff, and they're obviously not painted to my usual standard, which I forgot to bring some models to show what my actual standard is. I'll probably post some in the Discord, but they still don't look terrible, honestly, now that they're getting close to being done.
Oh no, they look just fine. They're functional, and when you're running a demo with somebody, they're only going to be seeing the minis from 2-3 feet away anyway.
Yeah.
They're not going to be picking these up and like looking super close. And if they do, you just say like, yeah, those were just a quick project
that we threw together over a weekend. Agreed. Sometimes done is better than perfect, although sometimes I like perfect. Sometimes it's fun to just lay into a project and just push it to the ultimate level and spend hours upon hours upon hours doing it. But sometimes you just need bodies on the table.
There are some projects that I get started on and you get into a certain like vibe with it. The next thing you know, you've spent 3 days straight on it and it's done, but it looks really good.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, did I do that? Wow.
I can paint. I'm not a sham.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Well, Fat Man says he put the other one on Discord. His other Chaos Warrior that he's been working on. Right one. Northwest Idaho. No, we probably put it in the 40K.
He'd have put it in the Miniature Manager chat in 40K probably.
40K, yep. Nice. You got a big old hammer. Did you like custom that hammer on there?
Oh, that is a fancy hammer.
It's a big hammer.
I recognize some of the bits on it. Let's see, for the guy that has a face,
You there?
does
with
he
the
also
face.
have hair or is he bald?
I think he's bald.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
I don't know, he's got some lines on his head, but
It could be scars.
I think he's just going to be bald. I don't care what he's meant to be, he's going to be bald.
Sounds good.
I'm just going to base coat that with some Cadian flesh tone.
Prime example for all those. If there's any beginner painters watching this, you don't have to get all the details. That's fair, but I like art pieces that are also functional. Like, I'm quite proud of the Ionis Cryptborn that I did the other day for Age of Sigmar. That one turned out really nice, and I'm really happy with how it looks. But
yeah. I don't know, I'm like in this middle ground where I go kind of a little bit crazier than I probably should with my minis, because I do like being artistic with them. But there is a point where I have to cut it off and say, no, these are details that aren't practical for actually playing the game. Because like there are effects that are really cool, but the moment you scratch the paint or whatever, it's ruined. So
it's true.
maybe don't use those on the minis that are going to be on the table every week.
Yeah, that's fair.
Seeing combat. Okay, this is going to sound really dorky, but the way this guy's head is sculpted, I almost kind of want to paint him like the Blue Man Group.
That is a definite choice.
Man, there's not much of a face to work with there.
No.
But these are also, the Men-at-Arms are
Older
old.
sculpts, yeah. But no, I agree with minis. Sometimes, there's a point where you're like, there's done, then there's above and beyond. And art pieces are great and all. But yeah, it's hard to justify all that sometimes. Especially when you're doing like, 100+ models. Exactly. Yeah, whatever you want to do. There's no wrong way, again, to enjoy your hobby, whatever it is, right? This is a hobby.
Except for using dip washes.
Yeah, there is one wrong answer. No, just kidding. But no, whatever you want to do, whatever part of the hobby that you take the most joy in, right? Focus on that. If it is playing the game, like getting your minis on the table and playing the game, then yeah, do the quickest way you can to get to that point, to your joy point. Don't even. Dirty cheaters. It's right. Dirty cheaters is right. No. It's more just, yeah, have fun.
I personally am not a grimdark person. Like, I don't mind something being a little bit, gruesome here and there. Like my World Eaters, I always do blood splatter, but I tend to be more of a fan of more saturated, bright colors on my minis. So for that reason, I don't get along with, like dip washes.
Yeah.
Just because they're designed for doing grimdark. And a lot of people get really obsessed with the concept of grimdark. And they, paint their models super dirty, super gross, and they use dark colors. And that's great if that's what you're into. I just personally don't think they look as good.
Yeah. I like clean lines. I'm an old school heavy metal painter, as you've pointed out to me.
Yep.
So,
And I'm like a more modern heavy metal painter, but not quite the newest version. Like I'm the 2010s heavy metal style.
yeah. Oh gosh. That is quite the combo. I'm either Dark Souls or glam metal. No in between. That's right. And there's fun in both of them. Although Dark Souls have never gotten the appeal behind the From Software games. I don't like the idea of. Nope, I can't say what I was gonna say. Let me find a better way to phrase that. I don't understand the masochist style of gameplay. That's the best way I think I can put it.
I agree.
If that's your bag, by all means pursue it.
Some people find the challenge engaging. I personally like to just sit down and zone out while I play my video games. That's why I get along with Halo so well, because
Yeah.
I've been playing it for 20 plus years, and it's just kind of muscle memory to play it.
Yeah. See, I love stories. That's why I play. That's why I'm a big JRPG fan. Like Final Fantasy and the Persona series. Those are my favorite games because you can set it on story mode and it gives you that sense of being like a bad A in the battle and all that kind of stuff. You feel tough and you feel like you're this mythical warrior, but at the same time the monsters are pulling their punches for you, but doesn't seem like they are. So
I enjoy what I would call like RPG light, where it's an RPG, but it's not quite so in depth. So like I really enjoyed the Fable games back
Yeah.
in the day.
I don't know if I'd call those light. They're pretty
pretty-
RPG heavy.
They were light for me. Like you could just kind of follow the main storyline, and you didn't ever get lost in those games.
Yeah.
You always knew what was going on. The objectives were easy to follow. It was easy to navigate the world. And at the end of the day, if you didn't want to do all the side quests and the character customization, you could just play through the linear campaign and be good.
Yeah.
That's why I would consider it a light. And that's exactly the kind of person I was. I would do the quests, but I usually didn't spend time, like crafting or anything like that. I would get my weapons from loot or buy them in the shops,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd go hack and slash.
Well, you played it wrong. No, just kidding.
Well, that's too dang bad. I loved the story of those games. The first and second one were great. The third one, not so much. I mean, it was okay, but
Yeah, they're re-releasing it. Well, they're releasing a new one later this year.
yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic.
I think it'll
Uh,
be fun.
I'm sure the gameplay will be fun. It's the story that I'm like, I don't know. Games have butchered stories a lot in the last few years. It's just
Yeah.
modern gaming. It tends to take classic things and make them not what they
Thing
were.
is, I feel like with Fable, there isn't a whole lot that's like absolutely like sacred to Fable, like far as storyline wise. Mostly, it's the idea of your choices matter.
Yeah, as long as you can still, like choose your character, and your character still evolves with your choices, I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
If we're locked into the character they've shown off, I might not be as engaged with the character just because the trailers I've seen so far, it's not an engaging character. But we'll see.
Yeah. Never know.
It's also looking like it's not going to be quite as cartoony as the old
Yeah.
style.
Which that's a shame because that's kind of what the charm of it was. Is it didn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. But
Hey, I'm not going to argue with you there. Titanfall 2 is an amazing game, and I am furious at EA for what they've done to Titanfall as a franchise, especially just in the last couple weeks with them firing the entire team that was working on the next couple Titanfall games.
Yeah. But when has EA Games ever cared about its clientele?
Never.
You just look at the Battlefront franchise and what they did to that
I mean, they did fix it.
eventually. Because they were losing money.
Yep.
It's the only thing that matters is their bottom line.
The game that, to me, was the most tragic to get EA'd was Anthem. Anthem released a few years ago, and the gameplay was super fun, but it launched with some pretty severe issues because they rushed the launch of it because, EA. I think it was EA that owned the studio that was making that one anyway. I actually loved it. That would have been my go-to game if it had continued support. That'd probably be the one I'd be playing on my weekends still. But what ended up happening was that they worked on fixing it, but as a result, they couldn't keep up their content schedule because they were, behind on fixing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, well, instead of trying to just fix this, we're just going to make a mega update. It's going to basically be Anthem 2, but we're not going to call it that. We're going to release it a year from now. So the fan base was like, okay, cool. Well, we'll come back in a year and play that game. So then EA sees, oh, suddenly, nobody's playing our game. All the servers are dead, And so they cancel the game. And it's like, well, no, you literally told us come back in a year and play the game. So of course everybody's going to stop playing. But, executives aren't going to see that. They just see, oh, the numbers aren't there.
Yep. It's always unfortunate.
Don't take the copium, man. It's not worth it. Titanfall is dead, I'm afraid. I don't think they get to come back from this one. They've already canceled the next Titanfall game like 3 times now. I don't know if it's gonna ever happen. But I want it to.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Which, Fat Man's Kitchen, I have a tabletop war game to recommend to you if you like Titanfall. It's called Blackout, spelled BLKOUT. OUT, yep. And it is basically like a studio said, let's make a Titanfall game without it actually being the Titanfall IP. And let's give it mechanics that are like simplified infinity. It only takes like 30 minutes to play. It is great.
Yep. Agreed.
That is unfortunately the downside of big business.
Of success. The dark side of success.
And it does hit every company at some point. And sometimes it's not even people trying to be terrible.
It's just can't make everybody happy sometimes.
Yeah. I think we're about to have a visitor.
Yo.
Well, I hear Jacob upstairs, and I know last night he wanted to see the Domaru Domashi.
Domaru. Domaru. voices. They're back. Yeah. No, it looks really cool. If I wasn't already involved in like 7 different board games, I would totally be into playing this one.
I just painted a mech for it last week, and that was the one of the most enjoyable projects I've done in a while. I have a thing for mechs. Mechs are some of my favorite minis to paint. And the blackout ones, they're like exactly the size that I like. They're the kind of detail and art style that I like. They were just awesome. And they're fully posable. You've got ball and socket joints at the ankles, the wrists, the hips, the shoulders, and then you've got elbow joints at the elbows. You've got a double elbow joint at the knee. So the thing is fully posable. You can really do some diorama work with it.
Titanfall Tau.
That's kind of the vibe that the minis give off. Because they're not quite Titanfall, not quite like Warhammer or anything else. But they're close enough that you get the vibe of Titanfall from them. And then the infantry definitely are like Titanfall pilots and grunts. They do a pretty good job with those.
My goodness.
It's kind of funny last night as Ben and I are both trying to complain about how we weren't happy with how our minis were turning out. But the friend we decided to show them to just happens to be a speed painter. So he was looking and he's like, "Oh, these are great." And Ben and I are both here like, "No, no, they're not. They're terrible."
Don't look at them. They're hideous.
They're like the forgotten stepchild.
They're there, but at what cost? Gosh. Oh, you dirty run thing. Bless you. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Up to a point, yeah, I would agree. I think comparison to yourself is fine, like as in compare your past work to your current work, because then you can usually see improvement. Or if you've done worse work than in the past, you can be like, okay, I need to do better because this was not up to what I normally do.
With all things, balance is necessary. There must be balance in all things.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Another thief of joy is the price I have to pay for the out-of-production 40k commands brew. Well,
That is fair.
if it's out of production, you might be able to find a recast. Although recasts of plastic sprues are usually not great. Okay, the pose on the shield on this one's a little annoying to get to. He's like
That's-
holding it right up to his chest. And I'm like, I just want to paint the gloves.
And whoever put that model together should be fired.
I don't know about that.
It's me. I was
Yeah,
trying to get myself fired.
I'm not going to tell you you get to be fired, because then you'll leave the stream, and then we're in trouble.
It's just like, nope, I'm out. He said I was done. Alright, got those guys. Nothing more I'm gonna do.
Plus, I can't fire you. You volunteered for
This
this.
is true. How do you fire a volunteer? Crap. You got me there. It's too close. So, about that 80s music montage. Can't, we'll be demonetized again. Nobody puts baby in a corner, though. Alright, I think the bases are ready for this. Catch. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the cream of the fight. There you go.
The cream of the fight?
Cream of the fight? I don't know.
Pretty sure it's the thrill of the fight.
Thrill of the fight, whatever. Something.
And just like that, we're demonetized.
And demonetized.
Somebody somewhere is going to
Slap.
claim that Ben's voice belongs to them.
Poor them.
Well, nobody said they were happy.
They say that there's such things as faces meant for radio. My voice, I don't think it qualifies for either. So,
My voice is definitely different when I'm streaming versus when I'm recording, like a audio for a tutorial. The voice that I put on when I'm recording audio for a tutorial, I have been told, would actually make great like radio announcer or just really any sort of video content.
I feel like Stag is in the middle of his reps and needs some motivation to get through them.
He's on that last set,
Like, no.
and it's leg day, I bet.
Oof. There's not enough motivation in the world for leg day.
I've only thrown up once while working out, and it was on leg day.
Makes sense.
But it was because I was in Mexico. I was the only white guy at the gym, and the trainer was having a little bit of fun.
Very interesting interpretation of fun.
Well, he was having a little bit of fun watching me try to prove that I'm, tough enough to keep up with the workout that the rest of the guys were doing. And then, it turns out I was not tough enough.
That's funny.
I mean, I kept up pretty well, and then there was just a point where I was just like, nope, I'm dead now. Goodbye, world. And after that, I was just like, no, I still got to be able to walk the rest of the day. So I'm going to sit out for the rest of this workout. I got through like 80% of the workout, so I was fine with it.
Nice. Yeah, I had the tiger stuck in my head.
Good, good.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's a new style of video. It's nerd acapella. We just sing
All
all
the
the
80s
the
montages.
80s.
Oh gosh. What have we done? What have we done?
Wow, we're being listened to while in the shower. That's pretty dedicated.
I mean, it feels like it belongs on a different streaming service, but okay. Sure
No, it belongs in a museum.
So do you.
You know, the other day I was watching a video that kind of pointed out that maybe Indiana Jones was actually the bad guy in those movies, because he always took the artifacts to put them in a museum instead of like returning them to the local tribe or
whatever the case may be. Yeah, it doesn't. Not a good look necessarily.
But then again, around that time period, that's kind of what the museums were doing, snatching up history
and taking it.
And hiding it.
It's true. Preserving it for posterity, as they would say.
I don't know if you've ever looked into any of the, like, they call them conspiracy theories, but it's not really a conspiracy when it's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Smithsonian and a couple other big museums that like cover up parts of history they don't want people to know about by like just storing everything in their giant warehouses. A lot of like Native American artifacts that they've supposedly locked up because they don't line up with how they teach American history in schools. Stuff like that. It's a rabbit hole. But it's kind of an entertaining one to research.
Interesting.
I don't really prescribe to conspiracy theories too much, but I enjoy listening to them because they're kind of entertaining sometimes. And they can occasionally be thought-provoking.
My only thing with conspiracy theories is that anybody who comes up with them has obviously never worked on a group project.
Oh.
Because the idea of getting enough people to work together for a conspiracy theory to work, or a conspiracy to work like that, and then for them to keep their mouth shut about it, is hard to believe.
No, that's fair. But I mean, there are people out there that do pull off, effective group projects.
It's true.
It does happen. It's the exception, not the rule. But
I'm just saying, when our, our high-end military is sharing secrets over Facebook chat, it's not encouraging that they could pull off something of that magnitude.
Unless that's just what they want us to think. Only lesser people are chaotic enough to not keep a secret, right? I'm just being a weirdo there. That comment is not a serious belief in any way.
Yeah. You're good. Das Bär knows. I got it. I'm good. We're good. Sure, she. Please, please, please don't, Stag. I'm worried about what kind of secrets you would share in the shower. That's a worrying statement. I joke because I'm pretty sure I know who Stag is based off the handle. Guess I should be careful because I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident that I know who it is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to step away for just a minute to go take care of a store thing real quick. So I will return shortly.
Means you're stuck with me again.
Sorry.
Wow. No, just kidding. Just all the way back here. Yeah. I won't respond to that. Sorry, Stack. I'm sure they are fun. Gosh dang it. Just saying. Careful of the promises you make. That. Oh, come on. Go. Whole mile now. Do the rocks. Start with this one. Fair. Fair. What's that? You want to get through? Bases are getting close. Oh gosh, totally forgot that. Okay, there's those bases. Doing well there. While they wait. Alright, I'm gonna ink all the bronze. Get that going. hate it when I do that. Missed a spot. So now I'm gonna have to wait for that to dry. It's fine. So we'll come back to this guy. Oh man. Yeah. It's getting the time for my mid-morning nap usually on a Saturday. It's not good. There's all that. Stretching now for a second, but I am still here. Right. Okay, now we're gonna do like silver metal thing. So now he's starting to look a little bit closer to being done. Sorry, I'm not that entertaining. I'm locked in, I suppose. So I have my own personal abyssals at home, but like I said yesterday in the stream, they're a little bit different. These are the ones I'm painting right now are a bit more traditional in their uh, color tones and all that kind of stuff. But the ones I have at home are a little bit different, but still fit within the lore of the universe. So that's kind of fun. Alright. They're pretty much done at this point. I need to touch up the brass. And then I need to wash the steel portions. Oh, excuse me. I need to touch up the bronze portions with the final layer. I need to ink the metal, the silver metal, and then I'll touch that up. And then it's pretty much done. Like that unit is pretty well where I want them, or at least for this project. They're not necessarily where I want them, but you know, they're the color done at this point. So yeah. So I need to refresh my paint palette, but I don't want to leave everybody on the stream alone. So let's see how close these are. I don't think they're quite ready to. Well, they're getting close. They're really close to being ready for a dry brush over top. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a little bit still wet, but like I said, doesn't look bad, I guess. left in the stream or so. So I really want to see about getting these guys like actually onto their bases before the stream ends, so you can see one unit from start to finish over the course of the 2 live streams. most exciting content with bases, but you know, it's a necessary part of the process. A little bit of shine in that copper now, and do the final highlights. Just touch it up a little bit. Alright, so start here. It's still looking like it's. We're just gonna do the top part anyway, so. A little too heavy on the ink in some places. So maybe not start with that one though. Alright. Don't know if that ever actually got. Alright, here comes Scott again too. So just won't be watching me in silence. Sorry I didn't have much to talk about this time. So
I'm back again.
sounds good.
It was a trap. As soon as I got up there, I got like flooded by people.
Yeah. Well, bases are finished.
Sweet. Or at least they're finished based on what we're doing right now with them.
Yeah. Got them done. Just to plan the last, the bronze highlights. And these guys are, I'm going to call them done. But a touch up and calling it good.
So I think what I might do is no, I guess I'll just continue working on what I'm working on. Get these guys on their bases later, because I want to add some grass to those bases.
I think I might glue my guys onto the base and then put grass on later, or I guess.
Just depends on how much you want to make it look like they're actually walking through the grass versus the grass is just around them.
Guess that's a good point. But I also have found that if I put the grass down and then glue them on top of the grass, they don't stay on very well. That's my thoughts. But you have done stuff with that texture paint more than I have, so I'm not sure how strong that works out with it. I totally forgot his piece that I was supposed to bring today for his dragon.
Yeah, it's fine.
After the stream, I'll run up and grab it for him.
I feel bad that kind of made you sit down here and stream by yourself.
And I feel bad for the people that were watching because I had nothing to talk about. So
Yeah,
watching.
just as interesting day upstairs.
yeah, lots of stuff going on.
Well, I had a guy that was like does 3D printing stuff, like filament 3D printing,
Yeah,
doing like dice towers and cosplay helmets and stuff like that.
yeah.
And he was wanting to see if we would carry some of that stuff for him. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna buy anything from you, but what you can do is like leave the thing that you think best represents your work here and some business cards, and I can display it. But I don't know. When it comes to 3D printing, I am the wrong person to try and sell it to, because I have people that'll 3D print for me and will only charge me the cost of materials.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think 3D printing is a rough business to get into if you don't have your own line of like minis to print that only you have.
That's unique to you.
Because everybody and their dog has a 3D printer nowadays.
Yeah. It's like going to like Renaissance fairs and stuff like that, and you see all the 3D printed like articulated dragons that they have and everything. And it's like, oh, you're another one of those. Okay.
Well, and the pricing can get kind of ridiculous too.
Yeah.
So like this guy seems like a nice enough guy, but I was telling him like, if it only cost you $10 to produce this, you probably shouldn't be selling it for 40. Like that's a huge profit margin.
Yeah.
And that's like most people that know what it costs to 3D print something are not going to pay a price like that.
No.
But hopefully he, was able to turn around and sell some of his stuff.
Yeah.
And then while I was up there, I had other people that caught me and were like, hey, we ordered this stuff. Do you have it? And I'm like, oh, yes, let me go make that actually exist in the computer. Because I had the stuff, but I hadn't put it in the system yet.
Yes.
Mainly because I was busy all day yesterday with this stuff.
Yeah. What was taking up your time?
So. But I guess lesson learned, streaming on Saturdays, maybe a little too busy for that.
Yeah. Makes sense. At least on Saturday morning.
Yeah, in the evenings it usually calms down pretty good in here. So with that in mind, this stream's not going to go a ton longer.
No.
Because Here in about 20 minutes, we'll have hit the 2.5 hour mark, so we probably only have another 40 minutes, 50 minutes left.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think I mentioned that a little bit ago, so we're only probably going to go for 3 hours today. But that is enough to, I think, finish this unit. And
Well, if all we accomplished was that we each got a unit finished,
that's still something.
then that's still progress. And
And
I definitely did more than getting a unit finished. Like, I've got another unit that's
mostly done.
maybe an hour or two away from being done, and
Yeah.
another unit that's got the base colors on,
And they're the most tedious units to do, too, the infantry. So I'd say it's a pretty good place to be in, honestly.
But hey, we've learned at least this much. We are not able to finish an entire starter set on live streams over the course of a single weekend.
Yep. Although it would be kind of fun to have like hobby hangout streams in the future, maybe.
For sure.
But not with the restriction of we have to speed paint a whole army in a weekend kind of thing.
The key would be that we have to do it on evenings that it's pretty slow around the store.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe just like a once a month hobby hangout stream could be fun.
Yeah. Maybe do it Saturday mornings before the store opens.
Could do. It'd have to be pretty early though, because store opens at noon.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be a morning one. Do it from like 9 to 11 or something like that morning or something.
That could be fun.
Or 10 to 12.
As long as it's a day that doesn't have a tournament happening.
Yeah.
Oh man, seasonal allergies are kicking my butt today.
Yeah. I haven't noticed them too bad today, but doesn't mean they're not there.
I'd have to figure out how to make the hobby hangouts exciting. Maybe if it was just a once a month thing, I could probably find some extra stuff to do. Cool project that we're showing off, or
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
even just a recap of the things I've been working on.
Yeah. What to look out for in upcoming tutorials and whatnot. Alright. Almost done. Almost there.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
So close.
Now the question is, do we actually have anybody watching at this point? I don't know. I'll check here in a second, but with how quiet we've been, it wouldn't surprise me if there's nobody watching.
Yeah.
And that's fine. This was all a big experiment. We weren't sure what to expect from it.
Yeah.
Just like the one we tried a month or so ago.
Yeah. Paint night. Alright, that unit is done.
Congratulations. You did it.
I did it. But at what cost? Just what
You don't
little was
need
left
your
of my
sanity.
Sanity. Holy cow. Alright. I do not think I'm going to be able to get all of them on here, though, either. So, there's that. Actually, that doesn't look half bad. Wow, they kind of stick on their own right now.
Just realized I'm out of super glue. I can't even glue the guys on the bases right now.
I've got some super glue in my thing back there. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get all 10 of them on here. Yeah, actually on the base, that actually looks pretty darn good. All things considered. Alright, I'm gonna go take a really quick break. I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, I will just be here, talking into the void. No, we got 4 people watching according to the face or the YouTube page.
Nice.
That's okay. Maybe they don't have anything to say. I mean, we haven't had much to say either, so it works out. And you said you had some super glue floating around, right? No, that's fine. Super glue is super glue. I might glue the crossbowmen onto a base. Just gotta kind of plan out where they're gonna go. Oh, I never finished this guy's face. Well, we'll leave him off for the time being. It's always funny when you get to the end of a project and you realize that you haven't actually finished the project. You have to go back and touch things up and finish it. You can see it's already starting to kind of come together. It's starting to make sense what we've been working on. I think once we get some grass tufts and some flock on this will look pretty decent. Not the best paintwork in the world, but it is functional. And one thing I'm paying attention to as I'm doing this is I'm trying to position them in a way that makes sense. Kind of show that like some of them are shooting, some of them are reloading. Make sure that guys aren't aiming at the back of the heads of the guys in front of them. Stuff like that. And that guy will go there, and then maybe I'll paint one more to go right here in the gap. But let's get this guy, get his face finished.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You know, surprisingly, I might actually be able to fit all 10 crossbowmen on this and have it look okay.
Interesting.
I'll at the very least be able to get 8 for sure looking decent.
I think that's where I'm going to put that guy. Oh gosh, maybe. Yeah, I'll put this guy right there. Right here.
If you lower it down a little bit more, people will be able to see it.
No. There. Maybe. Right there might be pretty good, actually. Yeah, we'll go right there. I don't like how much that scythe overhangs, though. That might actually still be the best place for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna paint up one more crossbowman for the base.
That guy right there, because I think that's the best place for him. Just hold them in place now until it dries. Et voila.
Disgusting.
It is disgusting. Thoroughly disgusting. Okay.
I think I decided that the one that's going to go front and center in this little troop here, it's going to be the one that looks like he's getting ready to hit the people with the crossbow.
Nice. Good choice. Good choice. Putting the standard bearer back here. Especially the way I'm doing it, I feel like I'm not going to be able to get all 8 or all 10 I mean on here. But dynamics are important.
Well, that's okay. It doesn't matter how many are actually on the base.
So long as it looks full. That's all that matters, really. Oof, that's too much.
Well, that's why I was like, just leave one here and we'll advertise for you. But I did try to tell him, like, the prices are a little high. I'll let him know. Yeah, I don't know, but if you think we can sell them, if we paint them up, yeah, no, because we really don't do dice towers, so I've had like one person, maybe 2 people over the last 6 months ask, but I don't know, I've been hesitant about it. I'll let him know. Thank you. Yep. Oh, I should probably be painting on camera. I just like totally took the mini and started painting it off camera.
It's fine.
Not very good at this, am I?
Sure, it's fine.
It's a wonder I made it this far. Man, you really managed to squeeze a lot of demons on that little base plate.
Yep. Trying to make it look full. Doesn't leave a lot of room for other stuff, though.
Maybe we won't do grass on these guys. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be a couple tufts.
Yeah. Maybe.
We'll see.
I got at least 8, maybe even 9 if I'm really pushing. I think 8 is how many I'm going to end up with on there. Yeah, we're just going to do 8. Back. He's like nudging his back with his chin.
Is he sniffing him?
A little bit. Oh, but he's already stuck down, so that might be where he ends up. Just permanently. Alright. There's the troop of lower abyssals. All done. With 2 extras. Not bad, I guess. For 2 days worth of work.
I think it looks better than mine. But maybe I'm biased. I don't like how mine are turning out.
The red helps make them pop a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to put grass on the bases of these ones just because the amount of brown that's on them kind of blends them into that mud.
Yeah. I think a little bit of grass would help these guys pop a lot too, so. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how they look. Now that it's all said and done. Award winning? Definitely not, but decent enough.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if nothing else, this has shown me that I can make minis look okay if I cut out all the bells and whistles and rush through it.
Yep. They look decent enough, I suppose. Now that I'm looking down at them.
One of the weird parts of painting models for Kings of War is that, like, you really do have to just trust the process and wait for the end, because they really don't start looking great until you put them on the bases and they are all ranked up. And you're like, oh, actually, that doesn't look too bad.
Actually, does look pretty good. There's enough shadows and everything like that, and them moving together, that it actually looks fairly decent. Now there's this big boy. Gonna get base on him really quick first, because I've still got some of that paint left. Probably ill-advised, but I already have the paint here to use for it, so.
Thinking you're going to start on the character next?
Yeah, probably.
Reward yourself for surviving
Surviving the troop.
The troop.
Yeah. kind of my thought process.
Okay, I'm gonna glue down the guy that's not wearing a helmet. And then I'm gonna paint his head with him on the stand, because I think that's gonna be a little easier. Do you have the super glue I could borrow?
Oh, yes. Right.
And naturally, because I don't love the way his head looks, we're putting him on the back of the stand.
Exactly. There's the lid for when you're done.
Yeah, not terrible looking. Not terrible at all. And then I'll get that last guy hanging out kind of in the middle once I get the shade and the dry brushing on him.
Yeah, show them next to each other so I can kind of see the difference, how they compare. They look actually really good together. That's a good contrast.
Yep, red versus blue.
Yeah, a classic.
Yeah, not terrible.
Yeah,
not bad at all. We've been complaining the whole time through, being like, this sucks. And then we get to the end and we're like, well, maybe. I guess it works.
It worked.
Huh. Who knew?
Who knew? Maybe we shouldn't have complained so much. Nah.
I don't know, actually, maybe this guy that I was going to fit in there
Won't.
Well, he will. He's just going to be standing a little awkward because one of his feet's like half up on the rock. But it just further leans into his slightly dorky stance.
Be a little off kilter.
Yeah. Does make me wonder how much further along I'd be today if I had been here the whole time.
That's a good point. It's hard to judge.
I think my battery on my mic is also getting low, kind of like yours was earlier.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to listen to some of the stream afterwards and see how much the audio declines.
Yeah. Be a good way to look at it.
I do think I like the idea of trying to do like a once a month stream, give like channel updates,
Yeah.
talk about how the store's going.
Talk about upcoming events at the store.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Maybe give reports on how events went. That'd be kind of fun. That would give people a reason to tune in, even if they're not like hobbying. Is like talk about the tournaments and who won and who placed and notable like hobby entries from the tournaments or things like that that we're seeing. That could be kind of fun. Sports Center, but for miniature manager.
Well, I'll have to look into it. It would be cool if I could get it set up with other camera angles,
Mm-hmm.
so we could actually see our faces occasionally.
Yeah. Get some. You don't even have to get a very powerful one, I think, just facing this way. Then you can't pick your nose when you're on camera.
Well, I could switch when the camera is showing, because we would get, if we were going to do something like that, we would also get a, whatchamacallit, a sound bar thing, you know, like one of those little pads that has the buttons that are set to switch between cameras.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do not like the face on that guy. Whoever sculpted those faces, go try again.
Hey, better than I can do. But
Well, but I'm not a sculptor, so
That's true.
I'm not expected to be able to sculpt a good face.
that's true.
But I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because like my orcs, their faces aren't the most impressive things either.
Yeah.
Like this guy, his teeth are not clearly sculpted. I had to kind of like paint those in.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna paint my personal version of this guy in my like broken color scheme that I've got. So it'll be interesting to compare him and this one next to each other.
Well, there's two watching, and one of them is us. So
I think we can call it.
we could probably call it here.
Sounds good.
We're only 15 minutes away from when we were originally going to end. And I don't see anybody else jumping in before now and then.
So
Well, thanks for watching, for those who did join us today. Sorry if it was a little bit of a chaotic stream, and I was absent for half of it. But we're gonna figure out a format for streaming, maybe once a month. I don't know what that's gonna look like yet, but we'll try to improve upon this and make it better for next time. But thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
see ya.
Bye.